Hello, everybody. I am Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology. And today I'm here to talk to you about mutable ground crosses and the like, and mutable T-squares and mutability in general, because we have a lot of mutability kind of very focused this month. It reaches a peak around the 14th, but it's around till the full moon and, most of the month, to be honest. Every time the moon goes through a mutable sign like, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces will activate some of these things. Some of it's around the Mars-Jupiter conjunction that you'll hear a lot about, but there's so much more happening just around that. And of course, then Mars and Jupiter will both square Saturn. So we're going to look at that in 1 second. But before I do, I would just like to say, please, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Everything helps kind of grow this channel. I would also, recommend kind of having a listen to the charts and cards with in black and white that I do with Erica Robinson. If you get chance, we are looking at a lot of the current developments, particularly in the USA, but we do look at other countries a little bit as well. But it's also fascinating at the moment. And then I had my friend Andrew Brewer on as well for a chat. He's a professional psychic. He's been one of the, best known psychics for many years, and he has a really accurate record for prediction. And so, he and I have both been saying for quite a long time that we're going to come out of this chaos okay, and we're all going to be okay. And we talk about a lot of parts of that. So I'm going to try and bring more people on who also think that, because, there's a lot of fear out there, and there's a lot of uh, putting out what we don't want as well. So anyway, enough. Let's move into the mutability that we've got coming. So let me share my chart. Now, I've got quite a few extras on my chart here, so I will point out what they are. And then after this video, I'm actually going to make a second one looking at this mutability with the presidential candidates, because we have some things to say about them. Clearly, I'm, biased. I'm most on the side of Kamala and Walz, but I will look at Trump as well. But I think good astrology has to be combined with intuition. And, the astrology tells me it's her time, but I also know generationally it's a turn, and I can prove my points, but I also feel this intuitively. All right, so mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Now, we've got this ongoing T-square at the moment. We've got Mercury, Venus, Hecate. Juno's about to leave Virgo, so we'll just talk about, these in the sign of Virgo. I'll leave the first sign till last, Gemini. Over in Sagittarius, I've added in the south node of Uranus, because the nodes of Uranus, the planetary nodes, are really involved in all of this. And I read Mark Jones' fabulous book on planetary nodes. I read it more than once, because throughout history it shows how the planetary nodes really are connected to major events in many ways. So, and the nodes are really kind of like the planetary nodes. They work like the moon's nodes. They're very concentrated energy. And the north node is where we're heading, and the south node is where we're from. But it's really about belief and ideations and ideologies and community and all that kind of thing in um, Sagittarius and Gemini. Then over in Pisces, of course, we've got Saturn and Nessus, Centaur Nessus here, that have been traveling together. They both stationed retrograde at 19 degrees. And Neptune, I'll leave Neptune there because Neptune, even though it's not activated by degrees, Neptune is such a vast energy and is, the modern guide for the sign of Pisces. So really, it's including Neptune in many ways, I think. So, and then in Gemini, over here, Mars is about to come up and conjunct Jupiter in Gemini, which is always a big conjunction anyway. This is the new Venus star point that where the Sun and Venus met on June the 4th at 14 degrees Gemini. The Uranus North Node is at 16 now. It was exactly at 14 degrees Gemini on the Venus star point. But I want to add one other thing in actually, and it's one of the what would you call it? Oh, I don't know if you can hear my washing machine. Probably not, but it's quite a funny. So anyway, yeah. So the great attractor, I know, I know it well because it's at 14 Sagittarius conjunct my Jupiter, is opposing that Venus star point and opposing all of this. And the great attractor is this really galactic anomaly that nobody knows much about, but it's said to be pulling like all the galaxies, attracting them to it very, very slowly. Like we're not all going to collapse into it in any time, that we'll be involved in. And I don't know if we ever will because it's so slow, but it is kind of changing things over time. And it's kind of saying, this is part of the evolution of the whole galaxy, really, or the whole universe is being pulled towards the great attractor. And it's one of those points like the galactic center and the supergalactic center, where if there's connections to it, there's big shifts coming. So this is all adding to this mutability. So I am going to fast forward and go to when the moon opposes uh, Mars. We're under this now, but it becomes an even more powerful grand cross when the moon gets into Sagittarius. The moon will cross, the south node of Uranus and the great attractor and will oppose Mars. And by that time, Mars and Jupiter will have just had their conjunction, look, by 3 minutes, and Mars will and Jupiter will be at the same degree as the north node of Uranus. And this is just astounding, to be quite honest. It's um there's just so much I could say about it. And then they're going to square Saturn. But, let's look at mutability. So mutability really is about adaptability, but it's also about integration of all this multiplicity and the parts and kind of all about bringing it all together and bringing it together to work simultaneously and bringing it into balance, which is kind of funny because today I'm writing about balance on 888 Lionsgate, if that's your thing, but I'm writing about the balance of the eight and the tarot and all things like that. And anyway, yeah, my paid subs will get that today as well. So, this is about synthesis. This is, none of this can work in its on its own in a grand cross. And immutable grand crosses really are really the most about synthesis. Okay, so I want to read the quote from Diva Green, who wrote in um, um, Llewellyn Journal about the mutable Grand Cross. She said her quote that I always quote in my blog is um, the mutable Grand Cross reflects the process of aligning with information, Gemini, founded in natural laws and truth, Sagittarius, an adjustment, Virgo, of outdated viewpoints and opinions that are not based on universal, timeless principles, Pisces. In other words, as we seek to understand the human journey in a holistic and universal sense, our viewpoints and perspectives naturally shift mutable archetypes to reflect this evolution within consciousness. It has been described as the process as moving from the microscope to the telescope. In order to understand the mutable Grand Cross, we have to discuss all the archetypes, but we just did briefly. So I'm not going to go into it even more. But, mutable Grand Cross is an inherent push or pull or opportunity or gift from the universe to adapt, to change. And the mutable archetypes are often better at coping with that, but that's beside the point. So really, the symbol for mutability is this concentric upward moving spiral, really expansion of ideas and beliefs and growth in as we evolve and as we're pulled towards this great attractor collectively, and as we are paused to kind of revolutionize our society and our world. This is just huge, people. We're in this huge time of change for so many other reasons, but this is another part of it. And a lot of the players on the world stage, I won't have time to look at them all, are involved in this. But this has a real revolutionary vibe. We're also in the middle of these Gemini star points that started in 1964, which is also when Pluto and Uranus were together in Virgo. It's also the year Kamala Harris was born and Tim Walz was born. They have that Pluto-Uranus in Virgo conjunction. I'll look at that in another video, but if you're interested, please join me and look. Saturn in Pisces and Nessus together have been revealing kind of the holes in the laws and the rules in one way collectively. Saturn is kind of the man-made laws in many ways, and Jupiter is really natural law. Jupiter is, like the law of attraction, the law of all those laws. I can't even remember them all at the moment. But some people say there's 7 natural laws, some people say there's 12, some people say there's more. But and one is a law of mutability in one article I read, so that things are always changing, but then some things are all the same as well. So, but really, it's all about adapting and to bring back in the man-made laws and beliefs into um, back into balance, into integration with the natural laws and how we serve others. So all of this is huge. And not only that, Regulus, the royal star, moved into Virgo from our perspective at the end of 2011. And the nodes are going to move back into Pisces and Virgo in January for the first time since Regulus has been in Virgo. So we are in this mutable time. I've said for a long time that, there could be constitutional amendments in the USA, there could be changes to international law and how we work with each other because we're so out of balance. And so, as things collapse, the out of balanceness shows more. But here we are on 888, the number of balance, looking at this. We are in a time of bringing it back in, integrating, breaking the stuck patterns of that's the way it is and that's the way it's always been, because actually that's not the way it's always been. It's always the way it's always been for a while, but not the way it's always been. So a huge changes to come, I think. Revolutionized, big ideas, coming in, new truths from the galactic center, new communities, new ways of speaking to each other, new ways of working with each other, new alliances. For example, just to stick to this country, we're seeing many Republicans say they're going to vote for Kamala and Walz because, you know, it just seems like the more balanced option to bring it back in. And it just is a shift. It feels like a shift. You look out in the world and it looks like a shift. As you drive around, people are feeling different. I don't know how many people have said, have we jumped timelines, particularly since the day that Joe Biden dropped out. I like Biden, nothing against him. He's representative of it. It felt like things blew open. All right. Um, just one other quick thing as we talk about this mutability is that today, if as this mutability is really building, this is going to continue, as Mars and Jupiter square Saturn, and then they square Nessus, and then Venus comes up and joins in the squares. The moon will move on, but let's have a look at when the moon, just for fun, opposes uh, so on the 21st, which is 2 days after the full moon, the moon will have conjuncted Saturn and Nessus and be in Pisces and will have squared these and will be squaring these, and then Venus is going to be squared by Mars and Jupiter. They're going to square each other. We've also got Hecate here, of course, the triple moon goddess who helped bring Demeter and Persephone back into balance and unite the world. She has the key to unite the upper, lower, middle, and lower worlds, which really are mind, body, and spirit. So just balance, 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 integration of all the parts, all the opposites, all the ideas, all the beliefs, bring it in. You bring in unifying principles, okay. Bring in a more global perspective. Bring in considering all the factors, all right. So it's just huge, people. So, if you are activated by this, you've probably got a fried brain like me. That's really kind of going like nuts. And thinking like, I see all these things and I've got so much I want to talk about, so much I want to teach, and so much I want to take in, so much I want to read. There's other aspects kind of happening at the same time. We have the full moon just before this on the 19th. Well, let's have one quick look at it as well. I have done a whole video on it. And on the 19th, a lot of people have said it's kind of scary. I don't really feel it. And but it's conjunct Vesta, the flame of the state or the hearth or your inner flame, conjunct Mercury retrograde. But this is all on the last degrees of Leo, where Regulus was for a long time. It's Donald Trump's ascendant, it's his Mars, it's JD Vance's ascendant, and this is nothing personal about them. Even though, I'm clearly not a fan, but it's to me, it's breaking their hold. But it's bigger than that. It's breaking that Leo energy. Regulus was in the sign of Leo from our perspective for 2,160 years and moved into Virgo. In generational terms, it's Pluto in Leo moving to Pluto in Virgo. There's so many different things. It's the end of the old rule. of whatever. The fall of the royalty, the fall of that look at me kind of king. Trump kind of came up, I think, at this time as a representation of it. And it's that kind of energy in the collective as well, wanting to kind of be the ruler and the lead, and greed is good, and the shadow really of Leo. Leo has great qualities as well, don't get me wrong. But now we're moving into this Virgo and energy, which is more humble, more of service, more socialist in many ways, if you like, because Virgo is very much about working class crafts, um, being of service, doing good things, doing meaningful, practical work, looking at the practical details, it's the priestess energy. If you want to speak in woo terms, this is just an amazing shift. It's gonna happen fast. This is all fast food, moving mutable energy moves so fast. And you can see that these two, the Nessus and the Saturn, that are kind of revealing the abuses of power at this end of that energy in the world, are kind of helping us, revealing what needs to change and what needs to shift. It's just fabulous. I just love it, to be quite honest. And the full moon itself is a grand cross as well, and that's very tense. This mutable grand cross and a fixed grand cross is breaking the old fixed ones and changing into the new, if that makes sense. It's amazing. It's going to be chaotic. There are some not so good things, of course, happening in the world. We're still going to get stormy, literal weather. And, I don't know if you saw that Taylor Swift cancelled her shows in Austria because there was a serious terrorist threat. Okay. And they did catch the people, but I kind of feel that she's very freaked out by it, and kind of don't blame her. Maybe she'll reschedule them at some point, but it was a serious, serious terror terror plot, apparently. Okay. So there is going to be chaos, there is going to be threats, but overall, listen to Andrew and I, listen to Erica and I. The bigger picture is things are coming back into balance and being integrated in a new way. Okay. So it's like Leo is supreme court, right, as well, our energy. They're being challenged now as well. So anyway, I'll leave the politics for the next one, but and I know it feels chaotic, this change, but feel the excitement too. Mutability is very exciting energy as well. Do you feel the excitement out there in the world? It's astounding, to be honest, and I love it. And I feel very grateful to be alive now. You know, at one point we were all going, "Oh, what a time to be alive." Now I'm like, "What a time to be alive." I hope you feel it too. And don't forget to subscribe and all the things.